Sarah. She had an arbitration meeting this morning and apologized. I did have a lengthy conversation with her last night about the report, however. We'll turn it over now to Naya. Naya, explain to us how we're going to proceed on our review, and then go ahead and proceed then.
I'm going to share my screen so you guys will be able to see. I sent you this document last night with all of the different edits, but I'm going to share it at this time. So if you give me one moment. Okay, can everyone see my screen?
Yes.
Okay, this is the report in its entirety with comments and such. A lot of this is grammatical and stylistic edits that I received from commissioners regarding the report. I'm going to go on show no markup. You can see. I'm going to delete this really quickly. So this is going to be a sentence that I just realized that I did not complete, but this sentence will speak to the commission's recommendation to ask the community if they see specifically council positions as part-time or full-time. That was something that Commissioner Humley Jenkins brought up and asked me to include in the report. I know if there are no, there's no opposition to adding that, I will add that sentence there.
I'm sorry.
But this is,
I'm not, pardon me, I'm not following what you're saying, please.
there was a sentence that Commissioner Humley Jenkins asked to be added as it relates to asking the community if they saw council members as part-time or full-time and surveying the community. She asked that recommendation be added into the report. And so I was like, if there's no opposition, that will be added into the report.
Okay.
Are you all in favor with that? So going down, there wasn't a ton of stuff, like I said, that was big issue pieces, but there was one particular piece, actually, I think two pieces. The first piece would be the paragraph on the information shared by the mayor's office. I know that Chair Rancière sent me an email expressing that he thought that this paragraph should be deleted. And so I wanted to open that up for discussion. I had a conversation with Commissioner Ingalls yesterday, and she was the author of this paragraph. And she expressed that she wanted this paragraph to remain due to her concerns around it, just maintaining transparency, as well as that this was an integral portion of the discussion as it related to setting the compensation for elected officials. And so I would now like to open the floor for you all to discuss this paragraph.
Yeah, I've had conversations with Sarah last night and Fred last week about this. I just want to reiterate, Sarah's view is that we should include it because it was a part of our conversation and an important part. I tend to agree with her.
Fred, can you give us background on why you wanted to exclude it?
That wasn't the basis of the decisions that were made. It was that simple. I mean, you know, we heard a lot of information over the course of the meetings, and I don't know that our report is a summary of our minutes as much as a summary of how we came to the decisions we reached. That's, you know, it's nothing I would fall on the sword over. The other thing that would occur to me, this would suggest that for future commissions, it's all right for everybody to come in and all the elected officials to come in and make their points. If elected officials could handle this on their own, we wouldn't exist. You know, I mean, it's interesting as to what the current office holders may think, but I don't. It doesn't present these arguments do not present to me an anchor that that came out of any of the data that we reviewed. That was why. Nothing I'm going to fall on the sword over, but I think it's setting up something that I don't recall having happened in the prior commission. I can't speak to the one before that, but I didn't have that sense of the elected officials lobbying us. And what I'm concerned about here is, and certainly this is the way the media looks at it, that we're appointed for them, by them. That's, to me, not what we exist for, the benefit of the public, because they were unable to do this for themselves. So that's why. Again, I don't, at this point, I care little. It's going to be future commissions that will have to come to some rationale for their decisions. And if they want to use, this kind of approach, every elected official, come on in. Let's hear what you have to say. What we sought was an anchor upon which we would build from. Coincidentally, it may have, or in this case, it did kind of support what we were being asked to do by the mayor's office, but that wasn't what we did. And I don't know that we would want to give that. I don't feel I would want to give that impression to the public that the elected officials appointed us and then pressure us. Which is exactly how the two articles were written.
Kiana and Keisha, what are your thoughts, please?
Keisha, did you want to go first? I guess for me, I think that Fred makes a really valid point. And so, because Sarah crafted this and she's also a commissioner, I want to honor her position as well. And so, maybe the middle ground is, because I think that the last point that Fred made is really resonant to me, is, so maybe there's a line in here that says that even though this occurred, right, like it was not germane to our decision making. So something that creates distance, to Fred's point around, elected officials and their advocacy, but our still maintaining neutrality with respect to that.
Keisha?
And I, tend to agree. I feel like this, the summary does discuss many of the things that we considered during our deliberations. And so I think from a record keeping position, I don't know if it's necessary for it to be here, but I don't have a problem with it being here because it is something that we discussed, as everyone has already said. I also, since Sarah is not here, I do have some, reservation about pulling something that she had without her being able to represent why she felt it was in here. And I also agree that with Kiana, there is a way to make a statement about if this is going to stay. There's a way to talk about, again, this was something that we discussed in our deliberations, but ultimately we decided to go with the data that's presented later on in the report.
And I would be satisfied with that result, that it was the data and not pressure. Because certainly Dispatch picks it up as they selected people to do our bidding. I don't get bought that way. I want to make clear on the record to the public, I don't get bought that way. I came to do the job I was asked.
Okay, could I suggest to you that you, the commissioners, leave it to Naya and I to craft a revised paragraph that would try to speak to both Sarah and Fred's issues.
Excuse me, Chair Kasser, just a quick question. if all the commissioners are fine with me just adding the sentence that says, even though this occurred, it was not germane to our decision-making, just as Commissioner Williams stated, would that suffice to your point, Fred, or do you want additional language?
It would require that, would require responding to what we did use
Okay.
as the basis for our, not a simple statement. In light of the fact that the press has already covered this issue,
Okay,
spoke to this issue, and my response to both of those articles was that they only heard our last meeting. They didn't hear the entire discussion. But the point that they were making is we were selected to do this to carry out somebody else's charge. I don't believe that's what the charter amendment meant to do. We are a citizens commission. We use data to analyze the decisions we came to. So
Okay.
just by saying it wasn't germane isn't enough.
okay,
Yeah,
so,
it just feels like the additional is the point that Keisha made around the data, Naya. I think that
Okay.
you were 90% there, just leveraging the fact that the data is what drove our decisions.
yes, I can, Allison says, even though this occurred, it was not germane to our decision-making. Our decision was set on the foundation of the data that we receive, or something to that effect.
That's correct. Yeah.
That's, and then we can move on.
Is that's acceptable then to the three of you?
Well, to me,
Keisha, Kiana, Fred?
it's acceptable to me.
Yes, this is Keisha, yes.
And so
Okay,
Okay.
perfect.
Do you have adequate direction there, Naya?
Yes,
Okay, fine, proceed.
okay,
Hey,
there was,
Before you get into that, if I could just go back to under the executive summary, after all of our names are listed there, in the 1, 2, 3, 4th paragraph down, beginning with to account for the gap. Am I reading this right where it says added to the base salary that was established for each elected official by the 2018 commission? And then it says beginning in 2026. Shouldn't that be 2022?
let's see the commission. It will be the base salary of the 2025 base salary. I'll double check that language though, when I look at it this afternoon.
Okay, fine. Proceed, please.
There was a couple more comments. I'm just gonna scroll down to make sure I don't miss any. Chair Counselor wanted to revise this sentence that is highlighted here. I added a revision to it. So Chair Counselor, could you take a look, and commission members, could you take a look?
Where are we now, please?
We are in the council members section, the 1, 2, 3, 4th paragraph down after the analysis of the Pure Cities table.
Say that again.
I'm
After
sorry.
In the council member section, after the
Oh.
Pure Cities table, the 4th paragraph down.
Oh, okay. So what's the issue here? Am I proposing the deletion?
No, you asked, when we chatted on the phone, you asked for some revision to this sentence, and so I revised it, and I wanted to make sure the revision that I made was okay with you.
Oh, yes, it is.
Okay,
and I don't have any concerns with it.
I have none either.
Okay.
And then I think the last the last big issue was Chair Castro wanted this paragraph to replace the paragraph above. And it just goes really into more detail about the auditor's duties. And I just wanted to make sure you all were okay with that.
Yeah, and let me speak to that. I had requested from Darlene that she give us a listing of the responsibilities of the Columbus City Auditor. There had been some discussion in our meeting about need for a job description and the fact that our city auditor, there aren't a lot of apples to apples comparisons. And because I asked her to list that for us, and because there's been such a amount of discussion about the needing job descriptions, I thought that inserting that the specifics in there would be a good reference point for future commissions to maybe there isn't a job description, but it is a listing of the many and various responsibilities of the city auditor.
And yeah, I have no problem with that at all. I might mention, we're using kind of colloquial terms, apples to apples. But I think what we're really saying here is that the duties of the city auditor encompass multiple positions in some of our peer cities. That's not the best way of saying it, but we that there are different positions in other cities that some of these responsibilities are directed towards. It just so happens our auditor has encompassed all of them. You know what I'm saying? And so when we're trying to compare, it's very difficult. Some cities will have a controller, auditor, payroll. These are separate positions outside of the elected office. I believe, if I was reading the data correctly, or hearing the information and explanations correctly.
Yeah, I think
this
I
may
have
do
no-
that. This may do that. I'm not opposed to this.
Okay. If everyone is on board with replacing the paragraph, I'll replace this paragraph. A lot of the other things were stylistic edits. So you all hopefully have had a chance to look at the report. But if there are no further changes, what I will do is I will essentially accept all the changes, and we will have a final copy of the report. And then Greg and I will be meeting on Friday to gather all the different charts that he did to create an appendix to the report, as well as the information we received from Dr. Lafayette. And then I'll work with our print shop to get everything kind of formatted and nice and pretty. But as far as the actual substantive portion of the report, this is it. And so at this time, Chair Castro, I'd like to turn it over to you to take the commission towards a vote on the report.
Okay, Naya, once we adopt this, can you send us the new revised copy electronically, please?
Yes, I will send you the final copy once all of the edits have been accepted.
Okay, and then when you and Greg and the print shop format the final report, can you send each of the commissioners a hard copy in the mail, please?
I can work with them to do that. I don't have you all's addresses, so if you would like for me to mail it to you, please send your address to me via email.
Okay, fine, thank you. So commissioners, are there any final comments you may have about our revised draft before you?
None.
Okay, if there are none, can I have a motion to pass the revised report?
So moved.
A second?
Second.
All those in favor? Aye?
Aye.
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 Okay, we have an adopted report. Thank you.
Thank you.
Maybe we should, go ahead, Naya.
Thank you, Commissioners. Chair, can you also have them approve the meeting minutes?
Yeah, I'm getting to that. Yeah.
Okay.
There was just on the, well, are there any corrections or deletions to the meeting minutes? If not, can I have a motion to approve them, please?
I do have a question. Are the minutes attached to the report?
No, sir. The minutes will be on the website, but they're not attached to the report.
Okay.
So moved.
Is there a second, please?
Second.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, thank you.
Chair Kastler, if
Yes,
there's
ma'am.
nothing else for us to vote on, I apologize, but I am going to have to log off. So I just want to confirm.
Okay, fine. Yes, I believe that's it. Naya, is that correct?
You all will vote to dissolve the commission, but you only need quorum. So Kiana, please feel, or Commissioner Williams, excuse me, please feel free to drop off.
Okay.
Okay, Kiana, thank you. It's been a pleasure working with you as well as the other commissioners. And glad we finally made it to the finish line here. And thank you for your time and your hard work and your collegial response to your responsibility. I appreciate that.
Wonderful. Thank you for your leadership, and thank you to the staff and my fellow commissioners. See everyone.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
I'd like to thank the representatives from the city attorney's office and the mayor's office and the auditor's office for your participation and support in this process. In particular, I'd like to thank Greg Beaverson, the city's compensation manager, for all the work that you put into this effort. And last but not least, to Naya for her great support to this commission. Thank you all.
It was my pleasure. Thank you, Chair. Are there any other commissioners that wanted to give any remarks before the chair will move into dissolving the commission now that your work is complete?
Just a question I would have, and the timetable for the completion and present. When does council review and decide?
That has not been set at this time.
The
So
report is to be submitted to the clerk, and then it's in city council's lap, and they can do with it as they wish. Is that correct, Naya?
so the report will be submitted to the city clerk for consideration by council. The council does not have to necessarily take the ordinance up right away, so they could take the ordinance up at any point this year. But I will keep you all abreast of when the ordinance will be moving forward.
Okay, so they're under no time. We're the commission, to be clear, the commission is under a timetable to complete its work within.
That's
The
correct.
Council has open time. And then there's just one other thing I want to say publicly. In the article I read Sunday, it said that the press didn't have an opportunity to involve itself in this, and each of our meetings were open and public. I just want to set for the record, they could have participated through our open meetings. We set aside one meeting in particular to try to reach those who were working. So we adjusted our timetable so that we could fit within what we would have hoped the general public would have been available. But I just want to make a statement for the record that this commission and in future commissions and past commissions, that nobody excluded the press. That's all.
Okay, thank you, Fred. Keisha, do you have anything to say here before we dissolve?
Only thank you to everyone. It was a learning experience for me, and thank you for everybody's support and leadership as we work through this issue. It's not an easy to get here. There's a lot of moving parts, but I appreciate everybody's input and support along the way. Thank you.
Thanks, Keisha. If there is no further business for this commission, I need a motion to dissolve the 2022 Elected Official Compensation Commission.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
So we have a majority of 3 to dissolve the commission, and we are dissolved. Thank you all.
Thank you, everyone.